Hi, friends. How are you? Welcome to one of my favorite times of the week when I get to chat and ask questions. I actually do the answering. Welcome to Ask Me Anything, where I, Jasmine Starr, a photographer and business strategist, will answer your questions. And we are purely democratic up in this hood. So the most popular questions that have been upvoted, like the questions that have been liked the most, are the questions that I will answer. And if you happen to be joining us live, ask your questions and I will pop in and answer them. So let's get this party started. Michelle asks, what is the best way to position yourself to serve an upscale, affluent client if you yourself are not personally in that lifestyle? Example, how would you start serving a high-end client if you don't know any? Well, Michelle, I'm going to come in and let you know that when I started serving the luxury market, I not only didn't know anybody in the luxury market, I had no idea about the luxury market. I am the daughter of an immigrant. I am a girl from the hood. I received government, or my family received government issue food. We shopped at thrift stores. My family didn't own a car. So when we talk about attracting a luxury client, the thing that I did was go to Google. That's it. And I know it sounds like the most ridiculous thing, but I had no idea where rich people went on vacation. I had no idea what kind of cars that they drove. So what I ended up doing is, at the time when I wanted to start targeting a luxury client for my photography business, I would go to like social platforms like Facebook, and I would go to a very popular like influencer account, and I wouldn't be targeting the influencer. I would be going through the comments. I would be seeing when people make a reference, oh, like my family owns a lake house in Aspen. I actually don't even know if Aspen has lakes. I'm just saying, as an example, like, oh, I go skiing in Aspen. And I was like, okay, so then I go to Google, where to ski in Aspen, or I would type in luxury resorts Aspen. And then I would see like, oh, there is like Resort X. And so then I would do a Google search, Resort X photos, and I would go to people's photos, and then it would link to blog posts. And then I was able to find people who were blogging about skiing at a luxury resort in Aspen, and anybody who could afford to ski at that luxury resort in Aspen, I could then see what else other they're doing in their lifestyle. When I started working with high-end clients, they all have like their own language. Like I will never forget when I was shooting an event and one of the clients was just like, oh, I drove the Oreo range. And I was like, what's an Oreo range? And so I went to my phone and I wrote a note. What is Oreo range? I finished the gig. I came back home and I Googled, what is Oreo range? And I come to find out that an Oreo range is a Range Rover that has a black top and a white bottom. Oh, okay, so that's how like rich folk talk. There was a girl who said, I just can't decide which shoes I should wear for the shoot. So I brought 5 pairs of Louboutins. And I was like, Louboutins. So I went to my phone and I typed in Loobohton. I was like, what's a Louboutin? Well, thankfully that Google has corrected me. Christian Louboutin are like 500 or $600 shoes. I didn't even know what Louboutin was. And so what happens is when you start understanding where luxury clients shop, where they live, what clothes they buy, where they go on vacation, you can then start making references in the content that you're creating. Like there would be times where I would write a blog post. There would be times when I would write Instagram posts when I would talk about how summers, like, do you ever wonder what it feels like to have summer on Martha's Vineyard? Number one, I've never been to Martha's Vineyard. Number two, I first thought that it was like a winery that a lady named Martha owned. I'm not even lying. And I didn't realize that there's a whole subculture of people who live and vacation there. And let me tell you, social media has made it so easy for you to find what your dream customer, like a luxury client, is doing. If you search hashtags on Instagram, amazing. If you go to Google and start Googling resorts in the Hamptons, resorts in Miami, resorts in Cinque Terre, Italy. Like, I'm telling you, the world becomes so open because people are always sharing what they're doing, and they're always tagging what purses they're wearing, what wallets, what money clips. I'm telling you, people share so much of personal information out on the internet that I now know what an Hermes bag is. I now know what a Birkin bag is. I now know that Bentley now comes in a 2-seater. Yes and amen. Why? Watching the game. Do I own a 2-seater Bentley? No, not yet. Okay. Your girl could own a 2-seater Bentley one day. I'm not even going to, from my lips to God's ears. Do I own a pair of Louboutins? No, I don't. I could afford it, but your girl's from the hood and I don't need red bottom shoes to make myself feel a certain way. So I'm out here cool kicking it barefoot. Okay. Anyway, I don't know where that came from. The short answer is Google, Pinterest, and Instagram. There you go. Finding out your target luxury client based on what they're sharing out online. Can I get an amen? Sarah asked, this was upvoted 11 times, Pinterest, how to turn people who save pins into customers. This is a very new focus to me, and I'm not converting from there. Any tips, tricks, or just some friendly advice given with love like you do so well. Okay, so number one, Sarah, I want to say thank you for saying I give advice in love, because some people say, she's so mean, she's so rude, she talks too much. Listen, I am a straight shooter, no chaser, but that as a result of me sharing my exact opinions is love, because so many people say they love you, but they're not going to share the truth with you. That ain't love, that's flattery. Okay, so Pinterest. I don't look at Pinterest as the source of conversion. It's very hard to have somebody search for how do you find a business coach, and then all of a sudden, oh, I see this pin, let me book this business coach. It's very difficult for somebody to say like, oh, I'm looking like interior designs, and then I see some really cool pins, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna hire this interior designer. Like, Pinterest isn't the point of sale. Pinterest, just like Instagram, is point of noticing, point of attention. When you go to Pinterest, that is search-based intent. I am going to Pinterest to look for a recipe. I am going to Pinterest to look for business advice. I am going to Pinterest to look for something specific. And when you find something specific, you don't say, let me bring out my credit card. What you say is, where is the origin of this pin? If you follow me on Pinterest, it's very common for my account to be pinning previous podcast episodes, blog posts, in addition to pinning other things. I want my accounts to be sourcing information from other things that people are looking for and then baking in my own content. I am not saying buy Social Curator on Pinterest. No, what am I saying? I am writing a blog post for how to use Instagram Reels for your business, how to have an Instagram strategy, how to go live on Facebook, how to have a thesis when it comes to YouTube. I'm creating helpful blog posts on my blog, and then I'm creating a pin to Pinterest so that if people want, so then the pin, a vertical pin, will be like 3 steps to understanding your Instagram strategy. And people are like, oh, cool, what is this? Then they click over to the blog. And when they get to the blog, they're gonna see a robust piece of information. And people are like, wow, who is this person? And then what I do in almost every blog post is I have a way for somebody to follow me on my newsletter list. I'm like, hey, do you want more information? You could sign up for this free resource. And when they sign up for the free resource, they will then get an email from me. And guess what, Sarah? Still then, I don't even get a sale. Still then. So why am I working so hard on Pinterest? Why did I, goodness gracious, almost a year ago, go banshee crazy on Pinterest? Attention. Get to know me. Because if you discover my stuff on Pinterest and then you go to my blog and you sign up for my newsletter, there's a good chance that you're going to want to follow me either on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And when you do that, now I'm connecting with you not on one platform, but 2, 3, maybe 4. And then every once in a while, you're going to get an email and you're going to be like, wow, I really like this person. I'm getting value. And if you get value and if you DM me and myself or my team responds to you, you're like, wow, they really care about me. And if I do all those things, then maybe, just maybe, you will invest in Social Curator for $49 a month. And guess what? I convert 2% of my audience for my offerings. That's actually very normal. If you look at all of your social platforms and your newsletter list combined, you will likely convert anywhere from 1.5% to 2% of your social followings. So I do all of this work to build up my social followings because the bigger my social following gets on average conversion rate, the bigger those sales close. So why am I using Pinterest? Attention and trust. Did anybody else just hear Baby Shark? Baby Shark is playing right now. Baby girl's gonna take a nap. You know, it's that mom life hustle. I can go live on Insta. I can go live on Facebook. I can go producing a video on YouTube around nap time. That is called the mom life hustle. Okay, let's get into Eric Lee. He says, Jasmine, we know that you're real. I'm very blessed to have you as a friend on here. Eric, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Tracy Hawking said, what if we don't have a blog to direct people to go to on Pinterest? Even if you don't have a blog, you can point them to your website as long as your website is conducive to long form content. Because Pinterest, you can post an entire recipe on Pinterest. You can. But most often what people are doing are using the pin. It's like the 5-minute recipe to overnight oats, what you need. And then you give like a little brief. But then if I want to know the rest of the overnight oats, I'm going to a place for long form content. By and large, it is a blog. You could have it on your website. But Pinterest, like you want to think of Pinterest like a fast pass. I mean, I don't know, like out here on the West Coast and on the East Coast, you have like a fast pass. So you have your freeway, but then you could pay for a fast pass so that you get your own private lane so that you can bypass traffic. That's what Pinterest is. If you go directly to the internet, AKA Pinterest, and you know exactly what you're looking for, Pinterest is saying, hey, we'll give you a fast pass to find our content. But in order for you to deliver on the content, you either need a video, you need a PDF, but it has to be free and available. Because if I went to Pinterest and I said, hey, 5 tips on how to use Instagram for business, and then when you click on it, it takes you to a page where you have to drop your email address, people are like, I didn't get anything. In order for people to trust you, you have to give far before you ever expect anything in return. Thank you for those questions. Those are really stinking good. Okay, Christina says, how are you using Instagram Reels for your business? Do you have a strategy yet? To which I respond, Queen, you know I don't show up without a strategy. I have to tell you that Instagram Reels is like the best thing for a business since Instagram Stories. I think Instagram Stories was a complete game changer. Instagram Stories, if y'all remember, it was basically a complete knockoff of Snapchat, and people are like, there's no way people are gonna leave Snapchat. And lo and behold, what happens? People left Snapchat in droves. Why? Because Instagram is housing the things and qualities and features that people like on other platforms. When people said, hey, Jasmine, are you gonna join TikTok? I said, yes. Not because I really wanted to create content for TikTok. I firmly believe, y'all, I have it on video. I have it on video when I said almost a year ago, hey, Instagram is going to duplicate TikTok. Like in story, just so that it's very clear, Instagram is going to replicate TikTok. I joined TikTok to learn how to edit videos and understood what was working in really quick pace, fast paced videos, so that when Reels dropped last week, I was like, oh yeah, come to mama. We're about to create really quick, fast-paced content in relation to our business. Now, I firmly believe that Reels is in its infancy. And what this means is that there's a bunch of people who right now on Instagram are like making Reels and they're kind of experimenting with it. Like, here's my coffee, which is fine. But what I've seen on TikTok is that there's going to be TikTok users who have an Instagram following who are going to make Reels like how they make their TikToks. And if you've ever been to TikTok, the way that people are creating video content is riveting. They are creating cinematic style movies, quick clips on their phone. I believe that Instagram Reels is going to be the next TikTok within Instagram. So what is the strategy for business owners? Because a lot of people are like, okay, that's fine, but how do I use it for my business? I believe that Instagram Reels give you a really cool insight into your business. And the thing that I'm focusing on is how do I use Reels to position myself as authority, as a leader, as a tastemaker in my industry. I don't really want to make Reels about like my dog or my daughter, even though I know those Reels people will be like, oh, cute. But that does nothing for my business. I want to use Reels as a way to give tips and tricks very similar to what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to use very common questions that I get asked. So there's a common question like, then one of the Reels I'm going to be posting soon is 3 ways to save 3 hours per week. What am I doing? Positioning myself in light of productivity and using social media. Another one of the Reels that I am going to be dropping is what do you need? I actually dropped this one already on Instagram. It's like what you need to start a podcast. In 15 seconds, I share my exact podcast setup. Why am I doing this? Because I want to position myself as a podcaster and as a leader. And just in case you didn't know I have a podcast, now you know. Jasmine Star Podcast. If you haven't heard it, you're missing out. Am I doing a plug for my podcast? Yeah. But you want to know what? If you don't talk about your business, nobody else will. Clap that up. Let's get into a few live questions as before I hop on into another meeting right now. Okay, so Molly said, what has Pinterest done for audience growth reach for your email list or your podcast? Oh, Mel. Okay. So Molly is saying, Jasmine, do you have metrics or numbers? And shout out to Molly. She is a social curator, and everybody who is a member of Social Curator knows that I am driven by analytics and by metrics. I want to measure what my efforts are doing. Like, I don't want to show up on Pinterest to be cool or to be popular. I want to show up on Pinterest with a strategy that moves the needle in my business. So Molly's asking, Jasmine, what has Pinterest done for your newsletter? So here's the thing. When it comes to Pinterest, I can't track exactly what's happening. I can track. So what we'll do is we will use our Pinterest pins to point to my blog. And on my blog, we have metrics, right? So we have Google Analytics to see what are the biggest drivers to your blog. Now, once people get to my blog from Pinterest, I don't know how many of them are signing up for the newsletter. But what I can say is that we've seen about a 14% growth rate on Pinterest from traffic. So if I assume that we're seeing an uptick from Pinterest around 14%, I'm going to assume that the people who are coming from Pinterest to the blog are also going to be opting in. Will 100% of those people opt into my newsletter? No. But will we see an uptick? Yes. And I have to tell you, friends, we have seen a lot of people, as a result of our strategy, mixed with other things, growing the newsletter list. So do we see a positive effect? If only an increase of traffic to the blog, the answer is yes. Do I believe that some of them are going to be signing up for the newsletter? Yes, that too. That was a really great question, Molly. Thank you. Okay. Another question. Looking forward to info on Reels. Should we be treating it like TikTok? Should we have a different strategy? So Molly, because I know that you're a curator, I'm going to go into the Social Curator group later this month, and I'm going to be creating behind the scenes tutorials. I'm going to be having step-by-steps. I'm going to tell you what my strategy is going into it. Listen, Reels is a week old. Like, first, I'm trying to test. At this point in time, my strategy is to create Reels that look very similar to what I would produce on TikTok. Why? Because people on Instagram, they're like producing Reels that people on TikTok were producing a year ago. TikTok is ahead of the visual curve. So where do I want my business and content to be? Ahead of the visual curve. Now, I could change my mind in a week. I could change my mind in a month. But for right now, I want to be like, I don't want to do Reels that are like silly. I want to do Reels that offer value, that offer insight, and position me as an authority. So there you go. All right, let's get into another question from Shirley. Hi, Jasmine. I decided to go digital and I don't have a clear mind about what is better, making a course evergreen or making a membership site that every month I will add new stuff. I would love your input so that I can start. That was upvoted 4 times. Now, here's the thing. This answer depends entirely on the business that you run. I have to say that I know Shirley personally. She is a member of Social Curator and she's a yoga instructor. I'm sure many of you know that as we are going through a global pandemic, all like workout facilities, at least out here in California, New York, coastal cities, they've been closed. Shirley is based in Israel. They are very strict with what's going on out there. So she's saying, Jasmine, as a yoga instructor, do I create a course or do I create a membership? Again, this depends entirely on the business that you run. What I would say, first and foremost, is there's not a right or wrong, Shirley, there's not a right or wrong, but I would say that if I was a yoga instructor, I would go to a membership model. Why? Because people like their workouts to change. You can do a course, and in this course, you could say, oh, wow, we have 20 lessons, and each of these 20 lessons are a different part of a yoga practice. That's great. But once you go through the 20 classes, you might want to refresh. That's where I think a membership comes in really well because you can create updated content. So if you are a business owner, you might not be a yoga instructor, but if you're a business owner that has updated content, so for instance, I don't have it anymore. I created an Instagram course for business, but then I realized that Instagram was changing so much that my course was no longer like applicable, which is why I moved Social Curator to be a membership model because I want to go in and create content for marketing that is so specific. So now we're not using old strategies, we're using new strategies. So if you have a business with ever evolving content and people want freshness, a membership would be a really great place to start. Okay, so friends, I am going to be popping out because I have a meeting that I am now officially 1 minute late for. For those of you who show up live, for those of you who leave questions, I want to say thank you. For those of you who are doing the work and taking action ever amidst a changing world, changing businesses, changing aspirations, I want to say I see you and I honor you. Your time with me is very, very, very honored and I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. Blessings, stay safe.